Howdy, everyone, and welcome to Moment of Truth, the podcast of American Moment. My name is Saurabh Sharma, the president of American Moment, and I'm joined by
Nick Solheim, the COO of American Moment.
And Jake Mercier, the CCO of American Moment.
And for the first time, Emma Posey, the coalition's manager.
Well, Jake has also never been on before.
This is also his first time.
This is also his first time. We managed to drag both of them onto the podcast set today for a bonus episode. We were feeling in a punchy mood. Jake was in town. Emma just started this week. And so we decided to bring some extra, capital C content to you guys.
Always. You guys should really be paying for this.
Yeah.
Why are we going to release this for free?
Yeah. Yeah, if you'd like to send money to American Moment, go to americanmoment.org/donate.
As someone who has to listen to this every week for my job, I just can't imagine anybody would want to do that.
Well, thousands and thousands of you have listened to it, so please tell Jake why you love the podcast so much.
Because I edit it so perfectly and wonderfully.
That's right. Review and subscribe. Rate 5 stars so that you can ask questions to American Moment. But anyway, we were feeling like we were in a punchy mood today, and so we wanted to introduce you guys to Emma. We wanted to introduce you guys to Jake as well, and we wanted to talk about a couple things that we had cooking here at American Moment. But I guess we'll first start with Emma. Emma just started as our coalitions manager this week. She's our first hire beyond us three co-founders. We're really excited to have her. She applied for our fellowship and we loved her application so much. Nick had such a fantastic interview with her that we sent her the application for the position we were hiring for. Mm-hmm. And she just blew every other candidate out of the water, not because they weren't great, they were, but she's just exactly what we were looking for. Really excited to have her. Emma, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? How'd you find out about us? What were you doing before?
Yes, absolutely. So I was born and raised in southern Georgia. To paint you a little illustration, imagine a dirt road, a single house, a whole bunch of cattle and cotton fields. And that was Emma, ages like 1 to 18. So after that, I went to a liberal arts school in Tennessee. I just graduated 2 weeks ago. And here I am working with American Moment. About a year ago, I started studying public policy, started working with Brad at the Institute for Family Studies. And then one day I thought, there's this podcast called The Realignment that I really like. I should see if they want an intern. And a few months later, I started working for them. They introduced me to these guys, and here we are today.
So I have to ask, we were, we did the first actual day of our fellowship for American Statecraft Day, first day of orientation. And one of the things that we did when we were going around and doing introductions was we asked people, what's the most based opinion you have? So Emma, and it's funny, I actually have not asked you this since you've been working with us or in the interview process, but what is the most based opinion you have?
All right, I have two for you. I think most people here would agree with it, but first one is, in order to make effective public policy, you must understand the perspective and experiences of the people you're legislating for. And so much of the policy that we work on with child support, with welfare, with family policy is coming from elites who are fundamentally just disengaged from the reality of those institutions and its import. And so that's huge in the work that I've done in policy. And then second, you should get married young and have lots of kids, hands down.
I'm working on it.
Which, Nick, you're doing great on this. So
I'm the most involved at the table.
At this point, I'm the only person who's not in a long-term relationship at the table. So Saurabh posting his L's, as it were. That's fantastic.
The show is just a ploy to get him like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's been too effective in that area.
Yeah. Many such cases. Jake, this is your first time on the podcast as well. The audience hasn't gotten to know you as much yet. Where are you from? How did you find out about American Moment?
Oh, well, I co-founded it. So, I'm from Dallas. I grew up in Dallas, and you all know that. And basically went from there to GW, which has been an interesting experience. George Washington University in DC, which is full of sociopaths, honestly. Really just children of bureaucrats who, all want to go work in public policy, which is great, other than the fact that most of them are not very impressive and it's just been an experience. But I will say that being here in Washington, it's been great to, network and meet people. And through mutual friends, I was able to meet Saurabh, and, all this kind of his history. And so there are a lot of downsides. Being in Washington is really hard, especially when you're young and idealistic and want to change the world. But if you stick with it and know what your goal is in mind, I really think you can do something great. And that's what we're doing.
All right, Jake, your turn. what's the most based opinion you have?
I don't know if
It may not be fit for camera.
maybe not. I don't know. I would say
We can always clip it out.
it is sad that like wanting people to like get married and like have kids is a based opinion these days.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
It gets you called a white nationalist if you're JD Vance, who's on our board.
yeah, I mean,
When
it's
he talks
crazy
about being pro-natalist.
What-
He was literally accused of being a white nationalist.
for wanting, you know, to, you know, make sure that people can take care of more than 2 children on a single income. I mean, it's just crazy how that's a controversial opinion, but that's where we are. I would say, I don't know if this is a most based opinion. It's something that I care about, and it's like a small issue, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But the fact that you know, President Trump put a policy in place to reorient our federal buildings to be, you know, gorgeous again, to look like they have, you know, the that kind of like Greco-Roman style that we all know and love and really associate with America. And it's really sad to see that Biden immediately took that away. But you know, it's, and also being, you know, all these people that were for that got accused of being fascists for wanting to have beautiful buildings. I mean, so it's just crazy how that can be a based opinion, but I do feel strongly about that.
So I want to give you, Sarab, also the chance to talk about your most based opinion. But before that, I'm gonna put some skin in the game. Okay. You guys had they are based opinions, but they were a little, you know, like, I don't want to say that they were normie, but like a little bit. Mine is that
really worried about this.
we should outlaw the institution of daycare.
Ooh.
We should make daycare illegal. And before everyone starts to freak out and say...
Is this like more or less controversial than you're thinking about Soviet train stations?
Yeah, we can talk about that on another episode.
We have talked about it.
Yeah, my thing with daycare is that I don't think that like people should just be like, haha, sucks, like you have to stay home, you know. I really think that we should pay parents to be home with their children, pay other family members to be home with their children. You know, a lot of people like to point at Hungary as a great example. There you can, if you'd like to return to work, you can shift your paid leave to other members of the family, you know, maybe a grandparent or whatever. So I'm pretty supportive of that model, but I think this kind of outsourcing care of your child to another person, usually, a lot of immigrants like work in this profession. You know, it's not good that people are outsourcing child care.
We use illegal alien indentured servitude in order to raise our kids. It's demented. It's not sane. It's not normal. Also, so I've been on this kick of hating daycare long before I ever had any of the views that I did on like natalism or pro-family policy or anything, because even if all your like politics is that you're basically liberal but you're anti-woke, wokeness, I think, in part comes from a society where daycare is so prevalent, because what is a daycare? It is 25 children that the caregiver has no like kin attachment to, and who gets the most attention? The one that screams the loudest. And so how do you get these demented children running all over our college campuses screaming at professors like they're, you know, beneath them when they should be like bowing in respect because they're your elders? You get it through daycare culture, where the kid that screams the loudest is the one that gets the most attention.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, your turn. Most based opinion. Now that I've laid some cards out on the table.
We have a demented ruling class, and realistically speaking, so we like the theme of statecraft a lot here at American Moment. And, you know, looking back across the arc of history, I think that there's certain things that we no longer have available to us in terms of tools of statecraft that make it a lot easier. One of which is ways to hold elites accountable. I, for one, think we should bring back exile. No, again.
Okay, we need Siberia, but for us. Okay,
People already.
That's called Guantanamo Bay.
No. I like, this is not like. I'll put it this way. Like, I think the people who lied to us about the Iraq War and cost $1 trillion and tens of thousands of American lives should not really be allowed to participate in public life anymore. Like, this is not like, I'm not saying they should be like attacked violently or anything. I just think, like, you know, classical, you know, countries in Europe and elsewhere always had an idea like,
I think there's this one guy, French, I don't know. I can't recall his name. I think you might want to.
Yeah. So like basically just the idea that like, yeah, you should like go live in a cabin in the woods for the rest of your life. You've done enough. Like there's a lot of names I could name that I won't, but like I think we should bring that back.
Yeah, there was I don't know if you guys remember in the Democratic primary. I know you and I talked about it a lot. If you remember Mike Gravel, he sold that merch of which like I almost bought a shirt because it was like funny. He had the send Henry Kissinger to The Hague thing.
Yeah.
And like I don't really believe in The Hague as an like I just don't believe in international courts. Like,
it's
just
fake.
kind of don't
real.
care.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think America should be subservient to like an international order because that's evil. But there is something to be said for sending someone like Henry Kissinger to, you know, a place to live out his days.
Yeah.
Like Guantanamo Bay or a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So good luck trying to cancel us for these takes. I think it's all in good fun. But yeah, things to chew on. Jake, when you were talking about your path to getting involved with all this. So the funny thing is, for those of you who don't know, I met Nick and Jake in person for the first time within roughly a 2.5 month period. I met Nick at a happy hour in DC and we bonded because we both cared about like Arctic Circle policy, weirdly enough. I'd been obsessed with it. He ran a think tank about it. And I met Jake through one of our board members, Sagar and Jetty. And Jake and I met at this restaurant in DC called Founding Farmers. I was here for CPAC. I think he wasn't. He was just living here. And our takeaway from that meeting, the thing that we were going to do together, this long before American Moment, was that we were going to start a podcast together. And now Jake has to be dragged kicking and screaming onto our podcast.
Sorely regret that comment.
Yeah. And so just a fun aside. Jake gets nervous on camera, but he's doing great. I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah, Emma seems a lot more comfortable, I think. Yeah. Well, you have been on podcasts before. You've been on the realignment before. But yeah, we just wrapped up today the first day of orientation for our Fellowship for American Statecraft. These are 10 young people that we have put at Capitol Hill offices and public policy organizations across DC. This is everything from the offices of Senator Josh Hawley and Marco Rubio all the way to the Center for Immigration Studies and the DC Claremont Center and things like that. And it was a white pill, as the kids say. We're just in a really good mood. They heard lectures from some previous podcast guests, including John Allen Gay. Mark Meadows came by to visit. Rachel Bovar did. They heard about some career building stuff, some personal finance stuff, and others. And so every Friday they'll be coming in and doing these lectures. And I don't know, I just it was hugely gratifying to see them all in person. There was a part of me that was worried, like until this morning, that like 1 or 5 would just like not show up, and they all did. So I was really excited. I don't know, Nick, how'd you feel about today?
It was awesome, man, to have all those people, you know, in a room. It's, you know, so as we've said before, we got, I believe the official number was 207 applications. And we interviewed a ton of them. And it's one thing to hear these stories and to see these people on paper, communicate with them via email, you know, even be on the phone in some cases, but actually being in a room with these kids that we've decided to invest in and put basically our entire professional reputation on. It's a big deal. And I really come away feeling like from our first day that we made the right choice on all of them. I don't have any doubts at all. So I just feel really good about it, man. I think we're doing the right thing. I think we picked the right people. And the lectures today were just fantastic. I was sitting here like, oh man, I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
So
I was like piping in with questions halfway through because I was like, Mr. Expert, can you explain something to me too? Because I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
It's been such a weird week, right? Because we went at the beginning of this week, we had 3 full-time employees, me, Nick, and Jake. And then Emma started on Monday, so that got us to 4. And then 10 more technically started today because they're W-2 employees. And so we've gone from 3 to 14 in 1 week, almost 5 times the amount of people. So it's been a wild week. I have no idea where it went. Like, it simultaneously feels like Emma hasn't started yet and has been here for 2 years. Like, it's very strange. I don't know. What did y'all think of today?
I thought it went really well. I think we can all attest to not sleeping very well last night. Like everyone just sort of like kept waking up, kept checking alarms, like afraid that something
I slept great.
Okay, well, the rest of us were like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you're bringing like fellows for the first time. It was a huge responsibility. But it was incredible. When Mark Meadows came in, he was asking them about the change that they would like to see in DC. And consistently the answers were honesty and virtue. And that is just a
Based.
rare thing to find among, DC in general, especially like younger students coming up.
Yeah, this is Sodom on the
And-
Potomac, guys. It's
Right.
really bad.
Yeah, so I appreciate that a lot. I got mocked mercilessly by Marshall and Sagar on the realignment when I talked about my excitement to come work with these guys because of their like care for character. So it was really cool to see that in our fellows today too.
Jake, what do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I think it was fantastic. And, having interned, I think we've all had these kind of like DC internships and stuff. And I think this is something special. We had a great, aside from the fact we had the great speakers, like you guys said, one of the things that these DC internships are missing are opportunity. A lot of people that have the opportunity to do these things are people that can afford to do a free internship for, a few months and have a place where they can stay. And, sometimes they just can't take time off work, and so we're giving people a stipend that is livable, helping them all across the way, creating a group of people that can be lifelong friends, but also giving them an opportunity to do something, that I think small people take for granted, their ability to be able to do it. And I think the thing is, they want to come here and serve their country. Each one of them have, a fantastic, personal background, but also their interests are so, varied, and I think it's just going to be fantastic. And we've sent them to some great places. You were saying Rubio's office, Center for Immigration Studies, so many good places. And I'm just excited to see, how this summer unfolds.
Yeah, one fun question that I've been asking myself sometimes, and I keep on having different answers. So I think I have the answer that I have, is like, where would I want to be placed if I had done the fellowship? And like, it's tough because like Josh Hawley's office, the Republican Study Committee, Center for Immigration Studies, DC Claremont, like all these places are awesome. And we're so grateful to all of our partners on this. If you are curious, this episode will be out by the time this is the case. You can go on our website and see the full list of partners and fellows at AmericanMoment.org. But honestly, we're just deeply grateful that everyone has been willing to partner on this. We did it on such an attenuated timeline because the organization only launched on February 24th. That's when we could start accepting applications. Application closed on March 31st. By mid-April, we had selected them all, and then it was a matter of placing and building those relationships, which thankfully we had been doing for months ahead of time, and it all seems like it's worked.
I remember interview week. You were out of town for the last like 3 days. So you the first
I had
2
the luxury
days.
of like going down to Mar-a-Lago. I think
Yeah,
that
you
week.
did.
Yeah.
You did like 4 interviews.
I did 7. Thank you very much.
Okay. Compared to, we'll get to how many I did in a minute. Jake gave me like some times that he was available to do interviews, and so I put some in his category. I did, I think, 27.
Yeah.
In 1 week. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was so exhausted by the end of it. Like I was not exhausted because it was like a boring thing to do. It was like there was so much. These people were telling their life stories. Like it's like emotionally exhausting. Like they're great stories, and like you feel for these people, and you're trying to make tough choices. It was probably one of the most emotionally exhausting weeks of my life.
You're at capacity.
I was
Capacity?
I was at my emotional capacity.
Yeah.
I needed to retreat to my safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, are you prepared to receive information that may hurt you? Are you ready to receive information that may hurt you? That's
No, I'm not.
Well,
No,
also, this cucumber Perrier is awful, so I'm just gonna open a strawberry one.
Yeah.
I was going to say
terrible.
about the fellowship, though, we had so many good applications. It was crazy. So many people that I was like, oh my gosh, like you're overqualified. Like this is, so many good people. I think part of the thing we want to do with the fellowship, and I just want to clarify here where we all can, is like, there are places where we see where we can help get someone into an internship and help them along their journey. But, there was a lot of people that applied to the fellowship and were overqualified. And, we want to be able to work with you guys too. And people who are still on their way to finishing high school and beyond. And so we also have the summit opportunity, which is going to be so great. And yes, we only have the resources to do 10 fellows right now. We're hoping to grow that in the future, but our summit, event that we're going to be having this fall is so awesome. There's so many good things coming down the pipeline that we can't talk about just yet. But I would really encourage everybody who applied but may have heard about the fellowship or anything else who thinks this might be something that you're interested in, I would submit an application to the summit event. It's going to be great. It's going to be just a weekend, so it's not a long summer commitment. But it's going to be a great way to network and talk with people. But it's not just an event. I mean, we're really sitting down, learning about policy, actually doing things that other people aren't willing to do when it comes to college graduates and young people. Like, this is worth something, and we really want to see you there.
AmericanMoment.org. I want to ask you guys a question. We are now officially in summer. Some have even called it white boy summer. This is a meme. Again, it's Tom Hanks' son that calls it this. I feel like that is wholly within
Chet,
the mainstream.
I think it's his name.
Is that actually his name?
Yeah, Chet Hanks. It's again.
So Rob knows a lot about this.
I think that the transhumanist types are like probably satanic, but like the whole wheel of the simulation thing makes a lot more sense when like Chet Hanks becomes a viral celebrity for like talking about white boys. It was just like,
was he the one that tweeted that photo of Bill Gates?
He might have been
with the Bill Gates and then just like white boy summer.
Yeah,
I think
he wasn't the one who tweeted it, but someone else did.
Okay,
No,
just kidding.
What are you guys looking forward to for summer? Just in general, personally, Jake.
Oh man, I just went out to West Texas. It was awesome. My girlfriend and I had a really good time. And really for this summer though, I mean, it's going to be a tough summer. I mean, I think my days of like summer, like, pre-college, like getting to do nothing is over. So I'm getting old. Yeah, I know. I'm going to enjoy, this. And I think we're going to have a lot of, fun stuff to do, some trips planned, but
we're flying you out to DC
hard
like
work.
Literally every week.
Every weekend. Yeah. To spend time with Sarab and Nick.
Uncle Sarab lectures the youths. Anyway, Emma, what about you?
Also, less popular, but equally interesting. We have Hat Girl Summer 2021 happening.
Yes. This is Evie Fordham's.
Evie's Substack, his fiance. It's my new favorite thing. So it's my license to buy all of the ridiculous hats that only Kate Middleton could pull off, but I'm going to bring into DC this summer. So that's going to be part of my summer fun. And second, I just moved to DC a week ago. And the only times that I have visited prior to this was actually during quarantine. And so most things were shut down. So I have a long list of museums and sites that I want to go visit. And I've been in a long distance relationship for a year and a half. And so for the first time, my significant other and I are only like an hour and a half apart. And so we'll get to spend lots of good weekends together. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty idyllic.
As you guys can see, I am participating in Hat Girl Summer.
My head is way too big for a hat.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
It's the hair too. It's like really thick hair. So
we talked about this before.
It's a mess.
Whenever I've needed to get hats for anything, we always have to special order mine because my head is so big. Like it's air. Like you guys listen to the podcast, like it's just there's nothing in here.
No, yeah, this isn't a statement about like, my IQ, which I don't know what my IQ is. But like, can't wear a hat.
Yeah, anyway, it's just like excess Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah, right.
And I have to say that I'm not really looking forward to summer. Summer's the worst season. Like it's hot.
God, the diet Canadian here.
It's hot. It's sticky. It's like humid. The mosquitoes are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
and you don't even wear a suit to work.
No. And I was just in Alaska where they're, in spring right now in the middle of the day. It's like
didn't shower for 10 days.
That is true. It's like 50 degrees, in the summer it'll be like high of like 65 peak weather.
Yeah.
Peak weather. DC summers are the worst.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to like very, very slightly going back to my routine last summer. That was like still when we were very much in early days with American Moment. There wasn't too much to do. I was like very underemployed. And I like for the first summer in my life, like something just clicked. I think it was like all the bug people that rule us were like, you have to stay inside. And I was like, haha, screw you. I'm going to get all the vitamin D I can. And so like I spent way more time than I ever have like by the pool getting sun.
I remember that you'd post like pictures of your legs on your Instagram story.
No, I did not.
You'd post a picture of the pool and your legs would be in it, and I would just reply like hot dog or leg.
Yeah.
Classic white
my
boy.
legs are not the width where that is a concern to like anyway. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
They're also very hairy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, my Instagram's on private, so you can't follow me. Please don't. But that and, thankfully with Emma around, I think that I'm going to be spending less nights in the office till 1 a.m. And so hopefully I can also start going back to the gym again as much as I was last year, which was like 6 days a week.
Yeah,
so,
you hired that personal trainer yet?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Anyway, so send me your workout tips. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, a fun summer. We have tons of stuff planned with American Moment. We're sort of held to like now a schedule. Like there's like 3 things that have to happen every week between this podcast, the 5 to 6 fellowship lectures that'll happen every week, and things like our AmCanon features and all of that. So there's no stopping. Someone told me a few weeks ago that we're trying to do a year 3 agenda in year 0, and that's basically right. Everything is on a very expedited timeline. Please pray for us. I think it's going to be a fantastic summer. And I don't know. Any closing thoughts, guys?
I just want to make sure Hunter Smith and Spencer Clavin, you heard the man, send workout tips. He asked for it, so now you got to do it.
Well, I guess I will have to.
So Hunter and Spencer both are going to get on you about that.
Yeah. Well, they are. I think the co-captains of White Boy Summer.
They're the only ones deserving.
Yeah. They're both jacked as hell. They're certainly a good inspiration, I think, to get in shape. With that, actually,
I have one thing. Well, we usually end on an AmCanon note.
Yeah.
You guys say your favorite thing, and I wanted to point out something to the audience I think is awesome. This week we had our 5th feature, and we did all on foreign policy. It's called A New Grand Strategy for America. And I would really recommend anyone who's interested in foreign policy or wants to learn more about the issue, go check it out. What we try to do with those is distill some of the best videos, podcasts, articles, and more on a given issue. And so editor-in-chief of AmCanon, kind of want you to go check it out. But anyway, it's awesome, and I really think that you guys will really like it. And you can go back and check the other ones we've done on big tech and stuff. So, and if you have any ideas of things you want to see, on the site or with features, just let us know.
Yeah, 2 things on AmCanon. One, your earlier point about architecture is definitely the case when it comes to the liberties you take with AmCanon, because I think on the homepage right now, why architecture is political is one of the 4 featured pieces. So
that was something you sent to me at 2 a.m. and I didn't sleep that night. So yeah, just
you made it mad. Art Deco inspires the soul. Anyway, and yeah, this latest feature is incredible. A little behind the scenes for you guys. We have to have division of labor here at American Moment. We physically could not survive if we didn't. The stuff that I do, the stuff that Nick does, the stuff that Jake does, we all trust each other to get it done. And it was the most gratifying part of building this was that I've been part of many teams in the past, and it hasn't always been the case that the people I'm working with are people who I trust implicitly and explicitly. The same applies with Emma. And so the content side of things is very much Jake's domain, and he will get these features up, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, every single time. And this latest one, especially so, because it's so comprehensive. It's all about foreign policy, but it all has these individual sections on regions like China, the Middle East, Russia. Everything.
Even the Arctic, we had a great piece, from Nick in there. I really think that if you're interested in any aspect of it or just want to learn more, it's really easily digestible if you're not an expert on any of these things. That's what it's made for. And so
go learn something. Great. Go fill your think skull with info.
Your think skull. I've never heard it called.
Yeah. Your brain. Nick's gonna fill up all that empty space in his head as well. Thank you for indulging us for this bonus episode of Moment of Truth. Once again, please make sure to rate and subscribe. Ask a question in your review. If it's 5 stars, we will read it on the show. If you want to email in the question, screenshot your 5-star review and send it to podcast@americanmoment.org, and we will answer it on our show. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming next Monday. Have a bunch of fantastic guests in store for you this summer. And realistically forever. I mean, the list of people that we want to have on the show and, the horizon of time at which point it is irresponsible to book them out to are intersecting. So
I don't know what you just said. That sounded like Christopher Nolan or something.
Yeah.
You're the horizon of time intersect.
Do we walk onto
his think brain or whatever you said?
What's going on?
Whatever. They always rag on me. We always like to rag on each other here. Hopefully you got an understanding of what it's like around the office most of the time too. This is literally what we're like all the time. And it's a great time. We're honored as always to be able to do what we do at American Moment. We wouldn't be able to without all of you who are supporting us out there in tangible ways, in little ways, in big ways. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Moment of Truth is an American Moment Studios production filmed at the Conservative Partnership Center. Our podcast is produced and edited by Jake Mercier and Jared Cummings. Our intro music is A Minor Struggle by Ryan Serenich. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all platforms, and you can go to AmericanMoment.org to learn more.